what I decided to do was just buy a 3D printer myself, start making the product myself and selling it on Amazon. I can basically do everything from my house. Everybody you see that gets a successful business up and off the ground probably has nightmares to tell you about or 2 dead businesses that got them to that point. Welcome to Wealth Busters. My name is ZAC HARTLEY, and in this video, we're going to talk about how I pitched my company on Dragon's Den, how I built a new $1 million business from my basement, and how I trade and invest my money. Let's jump right in.
You made a video on a high interest saving account. The high interest saving account is barely beating the real inflation. So why do you still make that video?
Yeah, great question. I guess you kind of got to look at the numbers. January CPI or inflation came out and it came in at 2.9%. Up until recently, Tangerine was offering a 6% interest rate with $500 sign-up bonus. And even to this day, you can get a 6% interest rate without the sign-up bonus through Simply Financial. Now, those rates are only good for a certain period of time. But for instance, myself, I'm pretty active with my money. I don't have much of a challenge moving my money from one institution to another. So for the last 5 months, I've been collecting 6% interest completely risk-free with a $500 sign-up bonus from Tangerine. And on March 18th, I'm moving all of that money over to Simply Financial for another 5 months at 6% completely risk-free.
Is that so APR? Or is that...
Yeah.
Because a lot of time, when they say, oh, 6% for 6 months, but technically, if it's 6% APR, you're only getting 3% in that 6 months. Is that correct?
No. The interest rate that you see on any of these websites will always be on an annualized basis.
Yeah, so if you only leave your money there...
That money is only in the account for 5 or 6 months at a time, but it's earning interest every month at an annualized rate of 6%. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so that's worth for people to take note. Keep going. So my question for you is, it's great, 6%, 6.5 even better. The CPI is showing 2.9%. Now my question is the real inflation really 2.9%? I
mean, you can argue that it is, or you can argue that it isn't, but the most solid data that we have, the most trusted data that we have, and the data that gets the most effort put into it, as far as I'm aware, is the data that the government is putting together. So whether you believe those numbers, you don't believe those numbers, I think that's up for somebody else to decide. But based on the numbers that I have, I can earn 6% risk-free. Inflation is at under 3% right now. And if I am saving up money for a home purchase in a year, or if I am trying to buy a car, or if I have an emergency fund and I've already maxed out my tax-free savings account, I need to put that money somewhere, and I need to make sure that it's not going to take a 30% correction on me at some point.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can get 3% higher than inflation completely risk-free, for those situations, feels like a very attractive option, especially compared to something like a GIC or a bond where your money might be locked up or tied away for a little while. So that's the reason that I make videos about that. I don't think it's the right solution for everybody. I think if you have a 40-year time horizon and you're saving up money, you should be investing that in the market. But in those situations where you cannot afford to lose money and you're saving it up for a large purchase or an emergency or anything like that, these high interest savings accounts are paying the highest yield that you'll find right now since basically the 2000s. And so it's a unique opportunity right now, and I don't think these rates are going to last very long. So if you can get into Simply or Tangerine at 5.75 or 6%, I think it's an attractive offer right now if you're in one of those situations.
So do you have that housed under anything like the TFSA or anything like the HISA, or is it just like the normal ones that you're going to probably pay tax on any interest that you make?
So yes, the ones that you were referring to in my video, those are just regular high interest savings accounts. You can open a high interest savings account and even a GIC within your tax-free savings account. Usually though, you will not be able to find the same promotional rates, and you will get a slightly lower interest rate.
Yeah.
That is the trade-off there. But yes, you can do all of the same things within a tax-free savings account. If you have maxed out your tax-free savings account, or if you want to use it for another reason, or you want to keep your emergency fund out of your tax-free savings account for any reason, they're a great option though.
Now, I want to take this a different, I'm going to give you a little bit of a whiplash with these questions and topics because I want to go to a more sexier one. But Bitcoin, man, I heard you're still mining it.
Yeah.
Why?
I am probably 2 years and 2 or 3 months into mining. I have what you would call maybe a commercial or kind of professional grade miner.
Yeah.
It's a S19J Pro 100 terahash from Bitmain. And it's been running in my garage for just over 2 years now. And we have mined, I could pull it up. I'm at like 0.27, so I'm over a quarter of a Bitcoin that I've mined through that machine over the 2 years. And so it's been a roller coaster. It has not been nearly as profitable as I had hoped it would be when I got into it.
Yeah.
As the price of Bitcoin goes up, it starts to look like a better and better investment.
So are you profiting? Like factoring in like the energy costs and everything, like the competition, like are you making money on that?
Yeah. So like if I take what I paid for the unit minus my electricity cost, I'm in the green right now.
Nice.
The thing that kind of dictates that more than anything though is the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So like I have over a quarter of a Bitcoin mined, but if it goes down by 10% or if it goes up by 10%, my ROI has changed pretty significantly. And so when it comes to mining Bitcoin, you've got the equipment that you purchased, and that equipment gets better over time. New equipment gets released. So when you buy, you want to try and make sure you buy the best equipment that you can. You've got the price of Bitcoin. You've got the price of electricity. I got lucky in that instance because when I started, I locked in a 3-year electrical rate that is about half of the market rate right now. So I got lucky in that perspective. And then you have the difficulty of mining, which basically means there's more and more people mining for Bitcoin, which makes it harder for me to earn Bitcoin. I'm pooling all of my Bitcoin mining into a large pool, so I get kind of a steady payout rather than trying to strike it lucky and get the big block reward. But that's sort of what my setup looks like, and those are the factors to consider. So I got lucky because when I bought top of the line equipment and I locked in a good electrical rate, and then after that it's just run the machine as much as you can and hope the price of Bitcoin goes up.
So how often do you have to like replace that equipment? Because I'm sure it wears down pretty quickly over time, especially if it's on consistently. Like I'm sure you got to like swap it out like every 2 years, a year and a half.
Yeah, actually, you'd be surprised. So the equipment itself is basically 3 computer boards, a little bit larger than the size of my hand, stacked up like this with fans on the front and fans on the back that just blow air through it to cool down the computer boards. And in 2 years and 2 months now, I haven't had anything wear down or break out. I haven't even had to replace any fans. I do stop it about every 6 months and take a can of compressed air and blow all the dust out and anything that's stuck in there. But other than that, I've got fairly lucky where it has taken absolutely zero maintenance. I haven't had to replace anything yet. But I also do not change any of the default settings, and I don't overclock it. So I'm not pushing it too hard. I'm just trying to I don't have the know-how or knowledge to fix it, so I'm trying not to break it.
That's my strategy as well with all my equipment. But would you, like, let's say you were talking to yourself like 2 years ago and you were considering just starting to mine Bitcoin. Right now, would you tell yourself like, yeah, do it in this current market? Or would you probably be like, that ship for profiting off of it has like completely sailed?
Yeah, like kind of a mixed result. I have a bit of an advantage here where I have a YouTube channel and Skillshare courses and all of these different things where I can make content about Bitcoin mining and I can earn affiliates and I can make money on it that way. So for me, it was a good move just based on the ROI of Bitcoin, and that I've made money around it as well. So for me, it was the right move. For the average and regular person though, I would probably say no. And the reason for that is because once you buy the equipment and you get it up and running, like you can't really do much to it to like, it's not like you're in the market trading every day and like you can't work harder to make it more profitable. You just let it run and try not to turn it off. But the downside of it is it creates a lot of heat, it creates a lot of noise, and you need to have the right setup for it, and it uses a lot of power. And so luckily I have that setup where it's not an inconvenience. It's pretty easy to do, but I would say 90% of people, it would be a pretty large inconvenience. Like, I watch a couple of people trying to run these machines in their basement, and I just think that looks like a nightmare. I'm really lucky it's in like a separate garage. So it depends on your situation more than anything.
No, 100%.
Have you ever get a knock on door from authorities? They thinking they're planting something else?
There's too much heat from this garage.
Too much electricity. You're only one person, and
That's
it's
funny.
very noisy. A lot of heat coming out. Like, have you ever get those questions before?
So I haven't had anybody knock on my door yet, but I have had my energy company come in and change out my meter from an analog meter to a digital meter, like as soon as I started ramping up the power. So I think they caught on and they're like, oh, we need to monitor this guy maybe a little bit better. And then, so I've got the miner at my house here, and I've got a 3D printing business that I run out of my basement as well. So between those two things, I'm using a lot of electricity. So
How much are you paying per month on that electricity? Between your two businesses? Like, we're going to get into your 3D printing and all that, but just between the two, give us a feeling of it. I know you get a 50% off on your hydro, but I want to hear how much is it per month?
You could look at your electricity bill and figure out what you pay per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
I'm using 5,000 kilowatt hours per month. My bill's around $1,000.
Wow.
But you can do the math on that with whatever your electricity rate is and see what it would cost you. But yeah, I'm using probably more electricity than the neighbors on 2 doors down either side of my house.
Or a Google data center, honestly. Like, that's pretty cool, though. That actually segues me into like this one thing. But like, what's the 3D printing business? I heard you had like 43 printers going or something like that.
Yeah. So I started selling product on Amazon back in like 2017, 2018 with one of my old companies, and it kind of kept going. And then for the last few years, I've slowly just been adding products to my Amazon catalog just as like a little side hustle that I was doing a couple $100s a month just to kind of experiment with it. And one of the products that I had added that was starting to do well was 3D printed. And so I looked at that and said, okay, maybe there's some traction here. Maybe there's something we can do. And so instead of outsourcing the work to a 3D print farm here in Canada, what I decided to do was just buy a 3D printer myself and start making the product myself and selling it on Amazon. And I've basically taken all of the profit from selling it on Amazon and reinvested it back into buying more and more printers. And over the last year, now that has grown to 43 3D printers in my basement, and the side hustle is now a full kind of operating business.
That's insane. So are they also in your garage? Like,
No, the printers are in the basement, the miner's in the garage, and the electricity company probably doesn't like me very much.
I love that. So like every room in your house is a different business.
This is his trading room, basement.
Yeah, you go to the
garage is
bathroom.
something else. There's room for
like
sleeping.
Bitcoin mining, like I can't call that a business because it's like I turn the machine on and walk away for a month or two at a time, right? So like I don't really do a whole lot there. But yeah, like the 3D printing stuff, and then my office is where I make the YouTube videos and the educational content, and try not to lose money in the stock market, you know?
Yeah.
So I know we chat offline about the 3D printing business. Like, for listeners who doesn't know, like, ZAC has this whole thing vertically integrated, right, ZAC? You have everything from taking an order to designing it to printing it to shipping it. Is that correct?
Yeah, so when people sell product on Amazon, a lot of the time they're sitting at home with a laptop and $5,000, and they're trying to find a supplier in China, and they're trying to change a feature or change the color or differentiate the product in some way. And then the supplier ships it to Amazon, and they hope that they sell by running a bunch of ads. And the problem with that is that you're at the mercy of the supplier. You've got 1,000 people trying to do the exact same thing as you. As soon as the supplier realizes it sells, they can do it themselves on Amazon. And you're paying a bunch of money in overseas shipping and fees and commissions. So I looked at that and said, geez, that business model is attractive because you can do it from a laptop, but you don't have much of a strategic advantage. And so when the 3D printing thing started to take off with Amazon, I kind of built my business around that. And so now I come up with an idea or come up with a product, or I see something in the marketplace and I say, okay, I think I can do something there. I'll try and do my research on it to see if there's actual search volume for it, if people are actually looking for that product. And then I will design the product myself most of the time, just on simple softwares that I've learned through YouTube. If it's a complicated product, I'll outsource it to an engineer, and then I can print a couple of prototypes here at my house. I can take product photos, make videos, do all of the marketing in-house right here, and then I can print the initial production run, and I ship it to Amazon in the States and in Canada, and then Amazon does all the customer service and the logistics that sells on their platform, and they do all of the shipping. And so I can basically do everything from my house. I have one employee now that runs the printers and ships out the product. So my main focus is just development and trying to grow the business and make sure we've got room for more printers. So that's sort of how it has evolved now. And I'm trying to automate all the printers now so that I can go get a commercial bay and start to scale it up more.
That's pretty sick. What is like your most popular product?
Most of the products are based around power tools and hardware accessories and stuff like that. So if you see any of these trades guys rolling around with toolboxes full of all their tools, I make the organizers that keep those tools in place and with all their accessories and kind of secure in the toolboxes.
Interesting.
And how are you getting paid? What is the profit margin? As in, if I see someone bought it for like $100 on Amazon, now how much do you actually get paid at the end of the day?
Yeah, so it all depends on the product and the business and the competition. But if you sell something on Amazon for $100, they're usually going to take a referral fee that's between 12 and 15%. So let's call it 15%. That just comes right off the top for selling on Amazon. And then you have what's called a pick and pack fee, and that is the cost to basically store that product and then take it off the shelf and send it out. That is dependent on the size and the weight of your product. So let's say that costs $10. You're now at $25 in Amazon fees. You got $75 left over. Hopefully you can make it for $25 and you can make $50 before you spend anything on marketing. That's sort of the metrics that you would be ideally looking for on Amazon.
Yeah, I never done those. This kind of, I don't even want to butcher it. Is it e-com? Is it like a whole turnkey 3D printing? I don't even know how to call this. Do you have a name for it?
No, not really.
What is this business model called? Is it e-commerce drop shipping, or is it called ZAC's 3D printing?
I don't think it would be drop shipping because I'm doing all the manufacturing.
Yeah.
I think it'd just be e-commerce. I'm just using Amazon as a distribution channel because I don't want to be sitting here packing orders myself.
Yeah.
I just want to do the production, and we're doing over 100 orders a day right now. So,
oh wow,
that's a full-time job to just have somebody pack. And then on top of that, I live in Calgary, Alberta, in Canada. So for me to ship is an absolute nightmare.
Where does it go to? Go to Vancouver or Toronto first, then go out, right?
Yeah, it's just absolutely terrible. So for me, I can ship a box of 150 units down to Amazon. They'll take it in Texas. They'll send 75 units up and down each coast, and then it's available with 2-day delivery all over the United States. And so that is just a way better strategy than trying to buy boxes and pack orders myself and manage that. Amazon's just so efficient at sending out orders. Why would I want to compete with that?
That's good. I just want to give you kudos because so far what we have heard about your Bitcoin mining, about your 3D printing. Now we're going to go into next on you never work in a corporate world, but we're going to get into that. But before I go there, I want to give you kudos because it seems that everything worked in your favor. And you say, I'm lucky in my electricity, I'm lucky in everything, I just lucky to figure out everything. I think you really undermine your own effort and your talent kind of when you put into all this, right? Because I don't think, when I hear those, I don't think average people can do any of these business that you're doing.
Takes finesse.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and there's a reason why there's still profit margin because you're doing a lot of the work yourself and you're figuring out, and there's not a lot of maintenance and all that, right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Why can't I get compliments like that, Cody? What the heck, man?
Lots of failures along the way.
I'm still trying to think. I'm still trying to think about compliments. Maybe I'll come up by the end of this episode.
But no, honestly, yeah, like that's crazy. Not, yeah, like you said, like I'm sure there was a lot of failures along the way. Can you like tell us like maybe one or two of them? I love hearing about kind of like the trials that people go through. Because, when someone's watching this, they're going to be like, oh, I can just go pick up a printer and start doing that. But it's like, you need to be aware.
So calm, right? ZAC is so calm. Doesn't show the failure phase. So can you tell us, like, have you ever break down because any of these stuff like mining stuff don't work or 3D printing stuff? Or have you ever like blow your composure at all throughout?
Do you ever flip a table, just like rage quit?
Just like, what? I got to take a week off. Like, cause you seem so calm. You're like, like I have no feeling. If I lose $1 million, that's it. I'll make it back next year. Don't worry, guys. You give us that vibe,
Frustrating thing in the world for me is sitting in traffic. Like, I think that's when I lose my cool is like, there is nothing worse for me than having to waste my time going 2 kilometers an hour down the road. So working from home is like the best thing ever for me. So that's when I lose my cool, I would say. Business failures though, like I've tried every side hustle you could think of. I spent $2,000 trying the traditional drop shipping route out of China, building websites, and like spent 3 weeks building a website running Facebook ads that brought in $12 in sales. I've had businesses that failed. I've had businesses I had to wrap up. I've had $20,000 payrolls that I couldn't meet and put money into the company. So it is everybody you see that gets a successful business up and off the ground probably has nightmares to tell you about or 2 dead businesses that got them to that point. So I've definitely got those.
That's a good segue into my next question. What makes you start up as an entrepreneur right out of college, right? You never got a corporate America or quote unquote corporate Canada job. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I think when I turned 18, I got a bartending job, and then after that I got another bartending job, and then I quit bartending. And
why? It's making a lot of money though. Some of the people in Canada,
when you're
in Toronto,
18 years old, making tips, and all your buddies are making regular wages, it's amazing. But yeah, no. So I went to university here in Calgary. I was originally in like a phys ed and like sports psychology degree, and realized that was not for me at all. But I had a couple of courses that talked about the business of sport, and I was like, oh, this is where I need to be. So I transitioned to a business degree. And that was definitely the right move for me. And at the school I was at here in Mount Royal, they have a really strong entrepreneurship program. And they really help you if you're trying to start a business or if you want to start a business. And so I got pretty lucky because I got involved in that kind of little community at Mount Royal. And it really changed my life. In my 4th year at university, we started a company where we would buy wine barrels out of Napa Valley and out of the Okanagan and turn them into products like furniture and decor and even smokers. And we grew that business, and a lot of it was thanks to the help of Mount Royal. And we won a lot of grants. We won some competitions. We won some pitch money there. And we eventually ended up taking that business on Dragon's Den and got to pitch it on TV as well. And so that's sort of how things started out of university. And then I went traveling the world, and COVID hit, so I had to come home, and then started the YouTube channel, started social media, started ramping up the Amazon 3D printing stuff. And that's sort of what that's the quick version of the last 8 years.
Nice. Yeah, see, I was going to cheer for you because you're like, I went traveling. I was like, yeah. And you're like, then COVID hit. Oh, no. Damn. Yeah. How was it being on Dragon's Den, by the way? Because I remember seeing something about that. Like, was it terrifying? Like, what was how were you feeling?
Hey Wallbusters, I just want to put on a side note, I do not run any ads on this channel. So if you enjoyed the video up until this part, make sure you like, subscribe, and share with a few friends that can benefit from this. And let's get right back into the episode.
It was super interesting. It was an amazing experience. It was really, really cool, especially going there and pitching. We were the first pitch of the day, so it was like 8 a.m., bright and early. We were the first group to walk in the den, and back then it was like that old kind of rustic, like garage looking Dragon's Den. I think they've kind of blitzed it up a little bit now, but you would walk across this bridge and walk down the stairs and then say, "Hello, Dragons. My name is ZAC. I'm here to tell you about XYZ." And that part of it was exactly like what you saw on TV. Like walking down the stairs and the first minute of your pitch, like that is exactly how it goes. And then when it gets to the question period, we were in the den for like 55 minutes getting grilled, like really grilled with real investor questions. And then the episode kind of gets cut down to like 5 or 6 minutes. So you don't get to see all of the hard hitter questions, you could say. They kind of have to piece together a story for the episode. So that was an interesting sort of concept I had to wrap my head around. And then the episode comes out like 6 or 8 months later, and we threw a big party. And yeah, it was a really cool experience. Is it great for your business? It's great for sales. It's great for marketing. Are they the right investors? I think that's something you kind of have to decide for your own business.
Yeah. How did you, sorry, I don't want to like dive too deep into this, but like, how did you get on there? Like, did you reach out to them? Was it something that just came on your plate? Like, what was that?
They did open auditions here in Calgary, and we showed up, and so we had furniture made from wine and whiskey barrels. So it was something that we could like really show off and like kind of get attention. So we brought all of our fancy products and came in and we gave our pitch, and they're like, okay, this is really interesting. We like you guys. And we showed a lot of charisma at our pitch, and we actually got amazingly lucky because that season they did a behind the scenes episode. And so we did our original audition, and they actually asked us to come back and pitch again so they could film the behind the scenes pitch. So we had to go back, and we actually got to film the initial audition pitch again at the university here in town. So we did it the same way everybody else does it, through the open auditions and online. And the whole key to it is make sure that your business or product actually lines up with what they're looking for Dragon's Den, and know your numbers, because they ask real questions whether or not you see it on TV or not.
Yeah.
So what are they looking for? What are the Dragons looking for?
Well, you have two sides of it. You've got the Dragons, and then you have the producers. The producers want you to have a business with a product that they can show on TV. So, like, usually a physical product, the software products don't usually do as well. They want something that they can get attention with on TV. And then the Dragons, each one is a little bit different. You could say they're looking for different things, but at the end of the day, they're looking for a good business where they can write a check, make a couple of phone calls, and turn that check into something 10 times bigger. Like, at the end of the day, that's the baseline. Is they all have connections or existing businesses or whatever it is. So they're looking for a company where they can write a check, they can utilize whatever they already have in their connections or their network to make that check worth more in 1 to 2 years' time. That's the
Now, going into that, did you have like a specific person that you wanted to like give an investment to? Like, did you have a specific dragon in mind? You're like, I want them, you know?
Yeah. So me personally, I really wanted Jim Treliving. He was like the Boston pizza guy. He was like, I look up to him. He seems like a straight shooter, like an honest guy that kind of built it. So I really liked him. Our goal, though, as a business, was to just get on TV. Yeah. And our thoughts were, the more dragons that you can shake hands with, the better your odds of getting on the actual episode are. Because they do, I think, 180 pitches, and I think like 90 to 110 actually make it on the episode. So just because you go there and you have to spend all that money yourself to go there and pitch, like they don't pay for
Oh,
anything.
really?
Yeah, like, and we're from Calgary, so we have to ship furniture and everything out there. So it cost us a decent chunk. But there's no guarantee that you're going to get on the show. So our only goal was get on the show, and our thoughts were, if you can shake hands with multiple dragons and close a deal, that's your best chance of getting on the show. So we were able to close a deal. I think it was $150,000 for 10% of our business, and we split it between like 4 dragons.
Wow.
We got all 4 of them in on the deal, and we walked out thinking there's no way they don't air this. So it was kind of mission accomplished. It was great.
Nice. So like if they pay you guys $100K for at 10% of the equity, that means they were valuing your business at 1.5 million.
Yeah, that was the valuation that was like settled on in the den. But it's really it's quite interesting. So depending on who you sign a deal with, they each kind of have their own sort of procedure for what happens afterwards. Most of the time though, you walk out of the den and there's another pitch right behind you. So like that dragon is staying in there. Like they're not coming out to chat with you and say, here's the next steps. And so it's a TV production set. So you walk off set, and most of the time the producer comes up to you and says, hey, congratulations. Here's 2 sheets of paper from whatever dragon is going to lead your deal. So for us, we got 4 dragons in on the deal, and Manjeet Minhas was the lead on the deal. She was going to kind of take the reins and be the main communication point. And so we walk out, and Jim Chalivin gives everybody a $25 gift card. And then the producer comes over and says, here's a sheet of paper with Manjeet Minhas's like associates or finance guys' email on it. Send them your financials, send them an email, let them know what happened, and good luck. And then they walk you out the door. And that's what happens. And so it's really interesting because the producers care about the show, and the dragons care about their deals, but they are 2 completely separate things. The producers don't care if your deal closes. They don't care what happens. They don't care if you send that email or don't send that email. So once your episode is done, it's like 2 separate things.
Yeah.
And then you also have to think about it. It's like this weird paradox where you got 5 dragons. They've got 180 pitches each. Let's say that each of them does 10 or 15 deals throughout the season. That season is filmed over a 2-week period. And so now you've got a dragon that just worked 2 weeks straight on a TV set that has 15 private equity deals to go through. And they go, okay, wow, I don't even remember the first 3. What's the 4th one? And they go, okay, what are we going to do here? They sit down with their finance guy, and they usually go, okay, what are the 2 or 3 best deals that I was able to lock down on the show? Let's try and pursue those and go through the process and see if they still want it, because it could be a month or 2 later. So it's they're very separate systems, and it's interesting how they work together.
So did you proceed? Did you send that email?
We sent the email for sure. We got a couple emails back. We didn't end up closing the deal. We didn't end up closing the round. It was like 6 or 8 months later. The episode was about to air. Our sales were about to shoot up. And I don't think she had the motivation to, 1, close the deal, but 2, communicate with 3 other dragons and their finance guys and get all 4 of them on board for a deal. So there was a lot of moving pieces there that just didn't work out. It probably wasn't the best situation for them. It definitely wasn't the best situation for us. And it's probably a good thing it didn't close. So, that's how it ended up. So we got a deal on the show. We didn't close the deal in the paperwork and the due diligence. And I would say that's probably how 90% of the deals kind of end up on the den that you see. You obviously have deals that do go through, and those are the ones that get invited back or that you see the commercials about and things like that.
Yeah.
My expectation is the majority of deals probably don't actually close, or 100% guaranteed they don't close with the terms and the ratios that are agreed on the show. Because there's just no way to really evaluate a business without looking at any financial statements like what we're doing in the den, and then actually say 10% is worth $150,000. Like, you can't do that without real due diligence. And so the terms are always changing from what you see on the show, without a doubt.
So you guys heard it first. TV's a lie. I'm so disappointed. I thought it was all real, you know? Trust issues over 9,000.
It's one of those things where, like, some of it's real. Like, that first minute of every pitch you see, totally real. Like, nothing really changes there. But I can tell you, like, if a company raises $1 million for 10%, like, the terms are changing by the time they get through 2 or 3 rounds of due diligence, and
usually getting worse, not getting better, probably.
Yeah, usually not getting better for the entrepreneur.
So is it really worth the time? If you have to do it over again, like, is it really more for fun, or what is it in it really for yourself?
Good marketing,
pitch, right?
It's good marketing. It gives you a little bit of legitimacy. I think the really interesting thing, though, is the viewership of the episode. Like, it's basically a 5-minute commercial for your products. The problem is that I think Dragon's Den sort of hit its peak in season 6, 7, 8. And I think we're on season 17 or 18 now. I don't think it quite has the viewership that it used to have, especially with streaming and everything that's out now. But I want to say the reason you would go on that show is for the marketing and the exposure. Because if you were trying to... Here's the thing, is like, let's say you need $100,000. You have to go do a blind audition and then pitch 4 months later, and then the episode comes out 8 months later. Like it's the worst possible way you could ever try and raise money for your business. So you don't go on the show to raise money. You go on the show for the publicity and the marketing. And if you think about it, it's like, well, then what's the point of the show if that's the reason they're there? So it's this weird paradox.
It's kind of like HGTV, right? Do you guys know the renovation TV shows? HGTV, like they flip a house in one day. Buy a solo, spend only $10K, they flip the whole house, and yay, everyone win. Kind of like that, right? There's a difference between a TV show and the reality of things, and we understand why the producer have to do certain things to get views, but then you really have to do your own due diligence and know why you go in. Is it really just for fun, or just for social media, or you really want to secure some money? But
totally. And when you think about it, like, every second or third Dragon's Den episode you watch, you know that there is a business in there that is just there to get ripped apart by Kevin O'Leary or whoever it is. And if you think about it, like, these people could be traveling across the country, and the producer knows that they are about to get shredded in there. Like, they know that they are not going to do well, but they still bring them out. It's almost like a little bit cruel sometimes.
Yeah, those compilations on YouTube hit hard. They're actually hilarious.
Yeah, and I can tell you, like, the people that did the audition knew that was going to happen. I can tell you 100% for sure. They're smart people doing those auditions, and so that's the problem. Is, like, some of it's shock value, some of it's entertainment. You shouldn't look at Dragon's Den and say that's the way to raise $100,000, because it's the worst way possible.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, I never heard the full story. I'm happy I heard it. And after the Dragon's Den story that's kind of real, unreal, I want to get into something that's real for you. And you are the expert on this. I don't know how to call you. Are you a day trader expert? Are you a scalping expert? Are you a swing trading expert? Like, how do you kind of define your style?
What's your title? What's your honorary title?
Yeah, that's like the worst question for me. The title, I don't know what my title is. When people ask me what I do, I just say I have a couple of side hustles. I have a
all my mature friends just say, "Yeah, Cody's a YouTuber."
Yeah,
I like
make some OnlyFans content here and there.
Yeah.
Just for people who doesn't get the joke, my most viewed TikTok video is talking about OnlyFans. But again, if you guys want to know the details, go check it out. But
he had to make that video after his wife found him doing research of OnlyFans models.
Research, Cody.
He had to make that video. It was to keep the marriage.
just for the record.
Research on OnlyFans.
I'm just doing research.
I'm just looking up their financials, I swear.
I need to find out the top
I
5
think
earning
it's a private
fans.
company, Cody.
Caught.
Guys,
in 4K.
if I can make money there, why am I here filming a podcast? Okay, not trying to make it really hard for you too, but if I can make money, that would be filming all this live on OnlyFans.
Listen, bro, this isn't that type of wealth busting, okay? Let's go back to the topic at hand.
So yeah, like for you, like because we have our own stock option investing strategy. I don't really talk about on this podcast. We have hundreds of students. We're more passive. Like people spend about 10 to 20 hours to learn it, but we have a system for high income earners to really only spend 30 minutes per week. But what about yours? That seems like you're all the way on the other side of the table. You're like, Cody, I'm looking for opportunity. I'm not looking for consistency. I'm opportunist, right? Is that a good way of putting it?
Yeah, so it sort of depends on what you're looking at. I have an RRSP account here in Canada that's really great for collecting US dividends. So in that account, I have a long-term cash flow focused portfolio where I'm trying to buy good companies with a dividend that's going to grow over 20 or 40 years. In my tax-free savings account, I have a portfolio of companies that I think are going to appreciate in value over the next, let's call it 10 to 20 years. That is my growth portfolio that I'm trying to continually add to. Outside of that, I have a couple of margin accounts. I would say the majority of my effort is going into swing trading. In the market, I'm looking for trends or catalysts or changes in the market that are going to either benefit or detract from specific companies. So when COVID hit, it became very clear that Zoom stock was going to become very valuable because they have a very valuable service in that environment. So I am looking for opportunities where something happens in the world that's going to benefit a certain industry, specifically the best company in that industry, and then I try and take advantage of it. That's the overall premise for my swing trading. And then I am not a morning person. I hate getting up early, but I try to day trade in basically in waves. So I try to I took a lot of courses. I did YouTube videos reviewing a lot of day trading courses, and I tried to learn absolutely as much as I possibly could. And I am still trying to get better at that over time, but I am putting in the effort when I can in the mornings and when I can get up early and manage everything else I have going on.
So is it possible to like kind of get better at it? Because realistically speaking, like, you know, you go to Wall Street Bets, you go on Reddit. I mean, Wall Street Bets is like the worst example, but you know, a lot of people are losing their money because realistically speaking, like day trading is a huge gamble. It's, you know, it's based on speculation. You can get good at like analyzing the data and the historical trends, but realistically, you know, you can lose everything just based off one decision. So how do you kind of have the appetite for that? You know what I mean? I feel like you're very calculated in those moves, but one decision could just like tank that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think like, first of all, it's about trying to eliminate that situation as absolute much as possible through a couple of different strategies. Number one being position size and making sure that you're not putting 100% of your portfolio or position into a single stock. And then secondly, using a stop loss or an exit for your position. You should be able to get away from that blowing up your account in one trade situation.
No. I had to put in my entire refinance into a GameStop stock, guys. It had to happen. It was obviously going to make me money.
That's why you're my co-host, man.
I had to YOLO it.
That's why you're my co-host.
So yeah, when it comes to that situation that you just described, there's lots of ways to completely avoid that situation, and most of that just comes down to discipline and understanding what you're doing. When it comes to getting better at day trading, it has this sort of unique advantage here, where you can open a practice account, which will allow you to trade and invest with fake money, but in the real market. And so before anybody ever starts day trading with real money and before they ever want to get into that area, they should be doing it with a practice account, and they should be generating a profit on a monthly basis in a practice account before they ever get to the day trading with real money. And so that's the step number one, is make sure you're a profitable trader before you start using real money. And then after that, there's a lot of ways to get better at it. There's a lot of different strategies as well. It really comes down to trying to find an area of expertise where you can understand the market and understand, if Google misses this metric here, what is that going to do to the stock in the short term? If the Federal Reserve increases rates today, what is that going to do to the market? If all of a sudden we have wildfires in California, is there an opportunity to short the lumber market there? It really comes down to trying to find a niche and understand what you are good at, so that you can understand how different things will impact the securities that you're trading with. Yeah. And if you can do it fast enough, it can give you a huge advantage there to become profitable.
Nice. Remember, kids, buy high, sell low.
Welcome to the Wellbuster podcast.
Best strategy I've been forced to adopt. I'm not good at this. I need to unfollow Wall Street bets.
Zach, what do you think? Because I can see the savviness in every single angle coming from business and the way you talk. And first of all, I'm surprised you're in day trading or swing trading. But I understand why, because it doesn't cost that much time if you have enough practice. But what do you think realistically is the percentage of people that are actually making money in day trading consistently? Let's say 3 years down the road, they're still in day trading, they're actually making money.
And we need the stat down to the decimal point.
Yeah, so like that's it's like it's a really interesting topic here, right? Because like, let me phrase this the other way. Let me put it on the other side. How many athletes did you grow up with that ended up making it to professional sports? They still played for 10 years, but they didn't end up making any money in it. So I think you could say that day trading might be sort of along those lines, but I don't think the numbers are the same. What I think is happening here is that day trading is a skill that is very difficult to learn, and a lot of people are trying to learn it and are trying to rush through it and are not learning the fundamentals of how the market works, and maybe they're new at it and they're a beginner at it, and they just haven't put in the work to get up to the point where they're a pro, and they quit early. And so when we say that 90% of day traders lose money, it's probably the guys that didn't start with a practice account, didn't educate themselves, and then lost money in 1 month and said, this is ridiculous. What the hell am I doing? And so like, I think the number of people, or the percentage of people that lose money in day trading, is ridiculously high. It's probably 90 or 95%. But I think the number of people that attempt to learn how to day trade as a get-rich-quick scheme probably has the largest impact on those numbers than anything else. I honestly look at it as a skill, where once you get good enough, you get paid for it. And if you're not good enough, you need to practice. And in the world of day trading, that looks like using fake money in the real market until you're profitable. And so if that was the case, if everybody used that methodology and became a profitable trader in a practice account before they started using real money, I can guarantee you that metric of 90 or 95% would be very different.
I want to challenge that for 1 sec. So I agree fully. Like, people should be practicing, like, especially if the stakes are going to get higher, like you're using your own money. But also, like, a big thing is people get emotionally attached very hard to like the stocks they're buying. And I find that the skill in being able to be a day trader is to separate your emotion from making the decision to make money. Like, for example, like I've done trading with like crypto and stuff like that. And one of the hardest things that like lessons that I had to learn was not to be emotionally invested and to be able to actually like pull out my money and sell something despite like how I feel about it. Like if I'm, I don't know, selling an NFT, I'll suddenly be like, oh, I love the art, and like all these reasons that made no sense to keep it. But now that I actually separated those two, and I'm like, I don't care about this thing realistically, like it's higher by, I don't know, like $1,000. Let's just sell it. If I really like it, I'll buy it later. But the skillful part that people don't know is making that decision. So it's like you can kind of use those simulations to buy stocks, you know, in the market without using real money, but it's a completely different mentality when you're actually using your money, because that's when you get emotionally attached. It's no longer monopoly money you're using. It's now like the money from your TFSA that you had to pull out, or, you know what I mean?
Well, first of all, don't day trade in TFSA or RSP, okay? That just, anyway, Zach can probably echo to that. I should give, before Zach answered Nada's question, I want to give some credit to Zach on the way he structured RSP for U.S. dividend stocks, and the way he put growth stocks in his TFSA, and the way he only swing trade in his marginal account. There's a lot of accounting advantage behind it. Okay, I'm not going to explain it here, so go check out Zach's YouTube video for that. I'm sure he explained it there. But back to Nada's point on Zach is like, it's different because real money and fake money is very different. When I started day trading like 8 years ago. A lot of people don't know that. But I was day trading 2015 to 2017. And guess what? The first 4 months, I was still losing money on the fake money. And after 4 months, I started breaking even, start turning to the green. You know, my win rate was 57%. Then, you know, like you do enough trades, you win. Okay, cool. But when it starts becoming the real money, you start going down again. You start getting grind out because you want to take profit too soon. And then you let the losers keep running, right? And then you like keep adjusting the stop loss. Oh, no, it's just 1 or 2%. No, just move a little bit. Now it go down more, like, okay, now what do I do? Then you take the loss and it bounce back up, right? It's like, oh my God. It's like, can someone see me on the other side?
FOMO, seriously. Like, it's the FOMO that's hard to like wrap your mind around.
Yeah. How do you deal with those? Like, I haven't seen, like, personally, like, at that time, my day trading coach has a account of $50 million, but she only ever used up to 2%. Again, that's portfolio sizing, but the whole argument is if you can only use up to 2% of 50 million, that's 1 million. So why hold up entire money of 50 million? You know what I mean? So I couldn't make sense of it. It's just not scalable, in my opinion. Unless maybe you're an AI or like your Renaissance funds that you have 300 PhD working at a quant fund that front run people. Sorry, not front run. I should take it back. Have their own arbitrage advantage that they recognize, right? So what's your viewpoint on that, Zach? I know it's loaded.
Couple of different aspects to talk about there. The thing that keeps coming to my mind is there's this meme out there, and it's this guy sitting at his computer day trading, and his stop loss on his computer has a little cord that runs to his finger and measures his pulse. And when his pulse goes up, he exits the trade. And it's because I think it's hilarious, and it's basically because it's emotions. It's exactly what you said. Like, if you're going to, honestly, if you're swing trading or day trading, even long-term investing, like, if you are dealing with your money outside of maybe a religious belief or something like that, it should be a strictly financial decision, and you should try and eliminate and take your emotions out of it. So if you find that you are in a trade and getting emotional, or you're worried about the trade and your heart rate is going up, you need to get out of that trade. You need to exit it. I don't care if you're up or if you're down. If you're worried about that trade and it is sitting on your mind and your heart rate is up, you need to get out of that trade. If you are entering a position and as soon as you enter it, you are nervous because you put 100% into the position and you're going to tank your account, you are doing it wrong. You need to downsize your position. You need to use a smaller position.
Yeah.
I have a swing trading portfolio that for me has a fairly significant amount of my net worth in it, and I have absolutely zero emotional connection or worry or stress about it because every position in that account has a stop loss on it. And so if the market tanked tomorrow, I'm going to lock in profit and not have to pay tax on it, or I'm going to be able to buy at a lower price if it doesn't hit my stop loss. And so if you are trading or investing your money, you need to completely remove your emotions from it. That comes through self-discipline and practice and those are pretty much the only two ways to really deal with that.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to day trading, if you're taking a position and you are nervous, you are anxious, your heart rate is going up, you've got sweaty palms, anything like that, you are trading with too much money, you don't know what you're doing because you don't feel confident in the position, or you're just in a bad trade and you need to get out of it. So you need to completely eliminate your emotions out of it. It's like Kevin O'Leary from Dragon's Den. He says, I don't care how you feel. I don't care what your thoughts are or how many baby sheep you save. I want my money back.
Yeah. And I think ultimately it's only invest what you can afford to lose. I think that's like one of the biggest things too. So people will YOLO their rent money on AMC and it's like, dude, no, stop, undo it. Because you're going to lose everything.
If you ever do anything with your money where your heart rate is going up and you're nervous as soon as you make the transaction, you might want to reconsider it. And in the stock market, it means don't do it.
100%. Wow.
Well, if you're not confident in what you are doing from a long-term perspective, it means you haven't done your research. And from a short-term perspective, it means you're trading with too much money.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be confident when you're putting that, like, any amount of money on the line. Like if it's important to you and it's making your heart spike, take a step back, think it through.
If you're watching till this point, make sure you like and subscribe, and we have more episodes like this waiting for you, so stay tuned. And if you don't mind, give us a 5-star review so more people like yourself can enjoy episodes like this.